We're smart. Hi.
No. Not Sam. Salem.
See if it comes up. There we are. We're trying to put the episodes so that way we know where we're at as far as number of episodes. This is episode 27, folks. Damn, episode 27. Can you believe this? And as you can tell, I'm just gonna have to buy a banner, like a banner for each season.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go shut that real quick because it's a little bit glary. Let me go close the blinds real quick while we get ready.
Yeah, while we get ready.
And we'll wait for a few people
to get in.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, wait, that's us. That one person is us.
Nope. No. There we go. Is that glare better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
My big head.
Successfully connected. Thank you to us for joining. I'm just kidding.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you to us.
It's nice.
It's short for joining.
I did not edit my thing, so excuse me if it takes me a couple minutes longer to read.
So, but you had fun without the ponytail. Yeah. Okay, so as you can tell,
Salem Witch Trials.
Out. Yeah, decked out. Got my Halloween PJs on.
I'm wearing Scarlet Witch.
And then we have in this cup blood. Just kidding.
Pumpkin spice horchata,
which is really good. I have a bat cup, and she has the ghosts. John got these for us at Walmart.
Oh my god, I had not had the horchata until right now. It is delicious.
This is my second cup, by the way. I have to get used to it because the grainy part of it is the cinnamon. That's what's grainy for me, so I can't drink it all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Because you got to stir it every so often, but that's all right.
Yeah, so I made horchata. I was so worried. It took me 6 attempts before the 6th successful one to get the perfect caramel for flan. I made a successful flan. It jiggled when I moved it. It was perfect. I flipped it. It's a perfect flip. It's amazing.
It wiggled.
It wiggled. Hopefully when we eat it, it tastes delicious.
Excuse me.
I've never made flan before, so I'm super excited.
I have never had flan before. And I've never had what she made today as well. Pozole. I've never had pozole. So
we didn't make the traditional pozole, which is pork, because her stomach is a sensitive stomach and pork does not work well with her.
Nope.
So I made chicken pozole.
So I have on top of mine, I did some lime because she said to put lime, and I have cabbage.
I have all of the fixins. I have cabbage, radishes, limes, and onions.
There we go. I'm gonna figure I was putting my hat on wrong. And then I looked at how you have yours. It looks better that way. Sideways. But y'all think of our hats. So because this is Salem Witch Trials, I went to Walmart. By the way, these hats are not cheap. But guess what? We have props for years to come. Okay. And I told her, it's like, oh, I'm going to get these hats. The hats were $11 or $10, by the way.
Yeah.
At Walmart. So.
And Michelle also bought these cute little pumpkin bowls for us to have the soup in. So, give me your opinion.
Oh, go. What's up?
I was super scared. I didn't want to do my ancestors wrong.
Oh, on the pozole or the flan?
On both. Honestly, I am very proud of myself. I made a good pozole, I made pumpkin spice horchata, and I made a successful flan. Amazing. Coming from somebody who was never taught how to cook their Mexican heritage food, I have to learn on my own.
You did a good job. That's really good.
I tried.
And it's not too spicy.
I made sure to tone down the spice.
There's like a little bit of, there's a small hint of a kick, but it's not like overbearing. If that makes sense, because she's correct. I have a my stomach is sensitive to spicy and to pork. So
I tried to limit it.
but
I
yes,
took almost all of the
see that.
seeds out of the chilies. I like the cabbage and the onions. It gives it a little bit of a crunch.
I'm gonna grab paper towel. Paper towel so you can.
But yeah, so we're going to talk about the Salem Witch Trials today. We're not going to go like the sensationalized route where we're going to talk about how it began and, oh, Abigail Williams, the girl in this time period, not me, who started accusing people. We're not going to talk about that really. We're going to go into the history of the Salem Witch Trials, what was kind of leading up to the Salem Witch Trials. So the beginning is kind of like really jumpy. But once we start talking about the victims, why the victims were accused of witchcraft, you'll start noticing a trend. And then how the witch trials ended. And then we're going to get into a possibility of why the witch trials happened. So a lot of people call the Salem Witch Trials one of the biggest cases of mass hysteria that is really talked about still to this day.
Okay.
So almost every American
Mm-hmm.
that I know of pretty much knows what the Salem Witch Trials is. Everyone is aware of what it is. So it's a case that has had lasting effects, and there's actually been things that have been done in the political sphere involving the Salem Witch Trials, like up until I think like the 2000s. Okay. So let me name a couple of people so you have a little bit of prior knowledge to them. So one is George Corwin. He was the sheriff who presided over all of the things. So he was the one who arrested people. He was the one that interrogated, the one that accused. And also when I say interrogated, I mean tortured. They did not just like interrogate you and be like, "Are you a witch?" No, he would straight up torture them. I'll go into some of the details, not like details, but a little bit of how he tortured. Because he had a favorite form of torture.
Okay.
Yeah. And these are Puritans, mind you. You know, the people who are like, that's also something I will discuss. They were escaping religious prosecution at the time. So we're also going to talk into that because there was actually fear that they were going to start getting prosecuted for their religion again. He was also the one that carried out all the executions.
So he was, what do they call that?
Judge, jury, and executioner.
Yes.
Yes.
He was thinking that's his
position. So a couple of these people had charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. If you know what I'm trying to say, you know. And I don't mean it in the loving way. I mean that in the most derogatory way possible. I mean it in the British way.
We have to turn on our light above.
We might. I think actually that might be a better idea.
Okay.
I gotta turn on the light, the bright light, the light.
The vampire light. Just because the clouds and with the way we've been getting clouds in and out all week, and in the evening we have been noticing that the roll of clouds that come in, it's hard to, you can kind of still see us, but it's okay.
We're a little blurry.
Yeah. Might be my camera. I wonder if my camera's dirty. No, get your face. Get down. Thank you.
So the trials began in February 1692 and ended May 1693.
Okay.
So the witch trials were less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
A year and some change. So it kind of ended when the last of the accused were finally released from jail and said, "You're free to go." This takes place in the 17th century, so there wasn't a really good legal system in place in the United States, as we kind of saw with Half-Hanged Mary.
Surprise.
Yeah, and then also remember Half-Hanged Mary, they were like, "You're a witch." They brought her to Boston, and Boston was like, "Witch where?"
Yeah.
Remember, cases like hers, before the Salem Witch Trial, all those women that were accused of things. Think of the lady who was hanged because her yarn kept getting knotted when the yarn maker was making it because Satan likes knots. She was killed for that, I think. The half hanged Mary, she turned into a chicken and she dropped down somebody's chimney.
That still cracks me up.
I can't.
Willow, don't eat things off the floor.
So there was no real checks and balances in the colonies because they were using the British legal system, but also stuff they had added to their own legal system to follow their own beliefs. Because remember, they were escaping religious prosecution. They felt that in England they could not do their values and have their values listened to, so they were trying to make it their values. And we're going to actually get into one of the charges brought against a woman prior. That is the most insane charge I've ever heard. So there was no real checks and balances in the colonies, and they were trying to figure out how to run everything, all while they're taking more land from the Native Americans. So while they're trying to, instead of like, let's figure everything out and then we'll expand, they were like,
let's just do it now.
Let's steal the land from the Native Americans and then we'll figure it out as we go. That's pretty much what they were thinking.
Good way of thinking for you.
Great way. It was a mess. There was no particular leader in charge. Every town was its own like this thing. What was good in one city wasn't good in another. So in Salem and the neighboring communities, because it did not just affect Salem, it affected neighboring communities. There were 200 people accused during the year and 3 months of witchcraft.
Okay.
Between 140 and 150 were actually arrested for being witches.
Oh, wow.
20 people were executed. 14 of them were women and 6 were men. So yes, men can be witches. And somewhere or 13 or more people died in jail awaiting their trials.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if he's included in the witch trials or if he's included in one of the 13. We will talk about him. It is a really weird part of the Salem Witch Trials.
Okay.
So one of the reasons I say or more was that the records were not the best, and they also may have tried to hide it. Also, 2 dogs were accused of witchcraft, and they were shot and killed immediately. One of the girls who was going around saying, "Oh, it's a witch," pointed at a dog, said, "That's a witch," and they just straight up shot the dog.
Not cool.
No investigation, no nothing.
I mean, why would they? To them, it's just a dog.
Exactly. The dogs are probably black dogs because they were seen as undertakers and having a close relationship with the devil.
So what do they call them? Black cats? Same thing?
Kind of the same thing. Actually, with them, it was all cats. All cats were evil. Not just black cats, but black cats particularly were worse than all the other cats.
Okay.
So all but one of the people who were killed, so out of the 20 that were killed, 19 of them were hung in a place called Proctor's Ledge, which is at the base of Gallows Hill. The one they didn't hang was a man named Giles, and that was done at the quarry, and that's where they had placed stones on him, and they were questioning, "Are you a witch?" And they kept putting stones on him, and eventually it crushed him.
But they weren't trying to intentionally kill him. They were just trying to get him to confess, right?
They were trying, yes, exactly. It was one of those things where he had not pled guilty or not guilty to being a witch, so they were trying to get a confession out of him. And in the end, they tortured him to death. He didn't enter a plea, and if you entered a plea, essentially either you would be hung or released.
You know, I'm watching a TV show called Salem. Well, I was watching it. I need to get back into it, but you can't watch it at work because it's not appropriate. So I need to start getting back into that. And they showed in that show, they show how they are judging people as far as being a witch. There's a young girl that they had her literally those little muzzle. It's like a muzzle. And they put it on her. And they literally used her as a witch finder.
That's what I'll talk a little bit about the girls who were the witch, the main witch accusers.
Yeah, it's a I'm gonna say
And
it's a dark show,
mhm,
but it's interesting at the same time because I mean I don't know if it's the facts or anything like that of they're basing it off of the history of the Salem Witch Trials. But when I was watching it, um, I was like, man, anything that they did, and her talking about like the torture when you were talking about the torture. I mean, they had the people on the gallows that were just sitting there and hung, they head in the board and their arms hanging out. Not the gallows. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. What do you call that thing?
I don't know what you.
But it's where they're standing and their
Mhm.
head is in the one hole and their hands are through the other one. I don't know why I said gallows, but they did show in one of the episodes. It laid a guy down and then they put a board or something on top of him and then they started doing the stones.
Yeah.
But in this, they intentionally intended to kill him because he was being accused of being a witch.
Yeah, he was accused. So, fun little fact, and I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself, so I may repeat myself. So, every one of the women who were, men and women who were accused that were hung, all pleaded not guilty. They basically pleaded innocent to the charges.
Mm.
Everyone who pleaded guilty
Mhm.
were set free, but all of their land, all of their property were taken from them and they were left poor to be poor.
Mm.
So you'll see a lot of the guys here refuse to plead guilty because that would take away the land from their family. So when Giles was killed,
Mhm.
because he had not put in a plea of guilty or not guilty, his children did get to take their land.
Mm.
They did get to keep their land because he hadn't put in a plea yet.
Okay.
So Proctor's Ledge was seen as a good place to hang witches because it was visible to a lot of the town. And at the time, they didn't have gallows. So they didn't have that wooden thing.
Yeah.
They didn't have it. So they would just hang them from a tree.
Oh wow.
Which gallows by far are, I hate to say it, far more ethical because unlike with the tree hanging where you basically slowly strangle, the gallows you drop and you break your neck and you're pretty
Mhm.
much dead.
If it breaks.
If it
Some
breaks.
people when they've tried to do them in the
Yeah, it
gallows and it
doesn't
couldn't break.
break. So it's just so basically when the witches died, when the accused witches died, it was a painful, slow
Yeah.
hanging.
I was laughing because I got to thinking of this little I don't know what it's called, but it was so funny. The guy that plays Jacob from Twilight.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He plays a good idiot in this. And I don't remember what it is. I have to find it. But they show him being hung from a gallows. And he just starts swinging back and forth with the noose on his neck. I was laughing so hard. I had to share it with y'all because it was too funny. I'm like, I need to find this because I need to watch it because it looks good. But that's what my hint of why I was laughing when you were talking about. Were you saying that when people get hung, it doesn't normally break their neck? But then I pictured him swinging from the stupid thing, and he did the whole song for the trapeze, swinging
Oh.
with the greatest of ease. I was like, dude, that's not the greatest of ease.
So the Proctor's Ledge was visible to a lot of the town. So basically, if you would look out your window, you would just see witches hanging.
How horrible would that be to wake up every morning? Hey, mom, they're still hanging there.
So
That's no.
yeah,
I'd want the not witch view.
yeah.
Give me the forest view, but not the witches.
So I'm going to get into. So
Jeez.
nobody was burned at the stake in the United States.
Oh, okay.
So nobody has ever been burned at the stake. That was a European thing.
Hmm.
In the U.S., we hang our witches. We don't burn them.
We don't want to hear the screaming. Is probably why.
Oh no, it's the reason we didn't burn is because of English law compared to Spanish law.
Yeah.
So in English law, death by burning was allowed only for men who committed high treason. And it was only allowed after they had been hung almost till dead, quartered, and drowned. And then they could be burned.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Give
And
them give them a bath first. What's the crap, man?
the English considered it unacceptable to burn a woman because it involved nudity. So they were like, we can kill her, we just can't see her naked. Yeah.
Because in some of the shows that when you watch, and I know it's a show, They show them literally burning them fully with clothing on.
Yeah, no, we never,
Oh wow.
they never burned witches
I
in the United States.
never knew that they would not burn them because they'd have to see them naked.
In English law, it was due to that. In Spain, on the other hand, and in other European countries,
Strip them down, burn them.
yeah, and that was because that was also another issue. Is the burning at the stake was more popular in countries with strong Catholic connections
Okay.
because it did not involve the shedding of blood, and that is because the Roman Catholic doctrine doesn't want any shedding of blood.
I'm not looking at your computer. I'm looking at the rack. Look at it. The shoe rack.
Oh,
It's coming off because I had picked it up and moved it. I need to fix it after we're done. Sorry. Squirrel moment.
okay.
Sorry.
So basically, it's kind of like, so Mormons believe in this thing that I learned this,
Yeah.
that Mormons believe in this thing called the shedding of blood. So basically, you'll see that a lot of like murder cases in Utah have to do with this old school rule, which is if you think somebody is a sinner and like a terrible sinner that cannot get repentance, if you shed their blood, they will get that repentance and they can go back, they can get into heaven.
Oh, okay.
By shedding their blood. Catholics, on the other hand, shedding blood is bad.
That's a no.
It's a don't. So instead, you just burn them so that the blood does not touch the ground.
I mean, it's gonna kind of touch the ground.
Yeah, it was also believed that the person
We're all
wouldn't
smart.
have a body to take back in the afterlife. So Catholics would basically be like, we can't shed your blood, and also, on a note, when you die, your body can't go. You can't go into the afterlife because you don't have a body. So it was a perk. The victims that were hung did not receive proper burials after their execution. They were buried in unmarked graves all over the area, and no one knows where the graves are. Think they're buried somewhere on Gallows Hill, but no one really knows.
Now, is there still a Gallows Hill to this day in Salem?
They think they know
because it's located in Massachusetts.
They think they know which hill is Gallows Hill. But another thing that I saw, when I did research on, was when they would hang them, essentially what they would do is they would just, another way that they think they just disposed of the bodies was after they were dead, they would just cut the rope and then have them drop. And wherever they drop, that's where they would leave the bodies.
Oh, wow.
So they'd be in like rock crevices and everything like that.
Oh, wow.
Because it was an actual ledge with a tree. The Peabody Historical Society in 1903 said the victims of Gallows Hill were thrown into shallow graves or crevices in the ledge under the gallows where the nature of the ground did not allow a complete burial. So it is stated at the time that portions of the bodies were hardly covered at all. Which doesn't make any sense to me, because if they were so scared of these women and men, wouldn't you like think to cover up their bodies instead of leaving them half buried?
I mean, I would, because I'd hate for them to come back at me.
Exactly, because they also kept saying that the witches could come back.
I mean, you pissed them off by killing them. What do you expect?
Yeah. So, here comes another inconsistency. One of the dogs that was killed after one of the girls accused her neighbor dogs of being a witch, they shot it immediately. And as a result, Cotton Mathers, who was a reverend, remember him from Having Mary? He's the one who wrote about that other pastor and was like, this man is a great man. He's a godly man. His parents gave birth to the godliest men of all godliest, that whole spiel, who had never met him before in his life. He didn't even know who he was. Him. He's in this one.
Okay.
He said that the dog probably wasn't a witch because the devil doesn't die. So they made a mistake. So again, if they were so scared of these women and men were witches, if the devil doesn't die, they would have come back to life. So why did they half bury him? There's a bunch of inconsistencies in this case.
Like an omen? Maybe it's like something that they believe or they've been told. Like if they were kids. And let's say family member tells them that if you that not to look in the witch's eyes after they die, or whatever the case may be that they got told. Maybe it's something like that where the families were just sitting there saying certain things, certain things of don't look in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do this, don't do that. Just hurry up and bury him. Like you're disposing of a human being that you think.
So they could make sure they could see they were still dead.
Okay.
That's a different take. I wasn't thinking of that.
Me either.
So this may have confused a couple of them. Some of the families did
Hi,
go.
Angela. By the way.
Some of the families did go in the middle of the night to bring their family members back and give them their proper burials at their house.
Yeah.
So only 2 victims that I am aware of have 2 known marked graves, and that is Rebecca Nurse and George Jacob Sr.
And they were accused of being witches.
And they were hung, and their families grabbed their bodies and actually buried them in proper burials.
I was telling my sister Jasmine that I think that would be a fun sibling trip to like go, or just to go. It doesn't even have to be a sibling trip. Like you and Justin go with us, and we find somebody to watch.
Well,
the
if they say it's not to go, best to go during Halloween because it's so busy.
And not going during Halloween, but go during the fall. Ooh, is it the oh, it's the Christmas one, huh? I know which one she's talking about. My book is out. Ooh. It goes with the cinnamon pumpkin one and the other one. And then, because I bought those, side note, I bought those, and then somebody told me, it's like, that those books are saucy. And I'm like,
I told her that.
Okay.
I was on my TikTok, and somebody was like, this book is like saucy. And I was like,
because I read the back of it. And
does Michelle know they're saucy?
I did. When I read the back of each one of the books, I figured that out, that they were saucy. And I'm like, okay. I mean, Gingerbread House, yes, that one. That's the newest one that I want to get to add to my collection. And another side note, Walmart is getting new bookshelves.
Yes.
And they are I love them. Oh my God, do I love them. They have archways and they have glass doors. And I told John, we move and we get a house, I want to buy those. I'm like, I'm probably going to need 3 of them because I have so many books. But they're beautiful bookshelves. But I tell you last year, going to Salem, because I want to go to Salem, Massachusetts. Because they have the witch house. I warned her.
You warned her too.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't mind. But I would like to go check it out because they even told my sister about making words are difficult right now. You can make your own little witch's broom.
Yeah, you can.
And you can put it in your house or wherever you want to put it. And I'm like, okay, I think
you put it by your front door.
I think it would be a lot of fun to sit there and do something like that, just to go do the history. And not only that, the whole month of October is Edgar Allan Poe month. That's another reason why I want to go. But I don't think you go to Salem for that. You go somewhere else. I know Boston, I think, is where you go for him. So 2 trips in one.
Yeah.
Just to go check it out.
So all of the accusers, Abigail Williams.
How dare you?
How dare I? And all the others were between the ages of 9 to 20. So unlike the other witch trials where it was men accusing women, this one was young. Yeah. This one was a women accusing women. Not very girly pop of you. How dare you? That's just rude.
Mean girl.
Women support women. Damn. So if you denied the accusation, you were likely to be executed. But if you said, yeah, I'm a witch, 9 out of 10 times you were let go. They would take your land and you would be made poor, like extremely poor. And nobody would really want to help you because they're like, oh, you're a witch. So it was the Putnams who decided to be terrible human beings.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Because they're the main accusers.
Putnams.
They are the most well known for accusing all of their neighbors and people they didn't like.
I'm thinking they're in that show.
They probably are.
I'm sorry, remember you said Putnams? I'm like, why do I know that name?
They were like.
By the way, the pozole is very good because it's gone.
So basically, it would be like, I don't like you, and I want your land, so you're a witch. That's kind of what their mentality was.
Okay.
So anyone who didn't follow the Puritan beliefs and codes also got accused, and more of
One girl got in trouble and then turned it on to other girls their age.
that witch made me do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the Puritans' belief in codes got accused, and more of the accused happened to be outspoken men and women who didn't believe it, and they were also more than anything Quakers. Have you ever heard of Quakers?
I have heard of Quakers.
Do you know how Quakers practice? Very different from Puritan practices.
I've heard of Quakers, but I have not heard how they practice.
Quakers believe in like movement. So during their prayers, they quake. That's why they get to have the name Quakers. They shake, they move, they dance, they
Pentecostal people.
Kind of more Pentecostal, right? Puritans are like, oh, how do I put this? You don't dance. You don't. They're like
Baptist.
I don't. Southern Baptists. Like with the, you don't go to dances, you don't drink, you don't do this. All you do is stay at home. Yeah, exactly. It's like the town of Footloose.
Footloose.
Where it's kind of like you just do your job and then you go home and you study the Bible and then you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's all you do.
Sounds like Footloose.
The kids couldn't even play.
Oh, Footloose.
Play was considered, no, like in Salem. Play was considered a sin.
Excuse me.
So they couldn't even play. They would just have to sit inside their houses as children and study the Bible.
Wow.
Yeah. It was awful. So another thing that may have helped lead up to the witch trials, prayer in silence and suffering. Yeah. Another thing that may have helped stoke the flames of the hysteria that the devil was working in Salem.
Yeah.
Was some 500 people died of a smallpox outbreak.
Wow. Sorry, I have chicken stuck.
So people died. So there was a smallpox outbreak. So of course the devil's here. He's killing people with this disease. So Cotton Mathers, a real hell of a guy, blamed the smallpox outbreak on a Salem resident named Martha Carrier.
Study the Bible or so.
Yeah. Martha Carrier. He was quoted calling her a rampant hag and the queen of hell.
My gosh.
So historical records give us a better view of her. She was not a rampant hag. She actually had independence of mind and was an unsubmissive character.
Okay.
So basically he was like, yeah, English is really hard for me. So basically he was like, you're a witch. You caused the smallpox. And she was like, that's not how this works. It's a disease. And he's like, oh, witch. Queen of hell. Damn. So a little history. England passed a law in 1542 called the Witchcraft Act. It outlawed witchcraft, blah, and anything that seemed like witchcraft was punishable by death. So this was so serious that the English Parliament created something called the Witchfinder General in January of 1692. So the Witchfinder General. So there was a heavy presence of like witches are everywhere, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
So it all began in January of 1692. There was the daughter and niece of Salem's first ordained minister, Reverend Samuel Parris. So his daughter, 9-year-old Elizabeth Parris and 11-year-old Abigail Williams, who was the daughter and niece of Salem's first ordained minister, Reverend Samuel Parris. They began acting strange and exhibiting behavior that was atypical. The girls were said to have started to have it doing weird sounds and screaming randomly, contorting their bodies in unnatural ways, and throwing things.
Which got your tongue?
Yeah, which got my tongue. Which got my tongue. So 11-year-old Ann Putnam and a few other girls in Salem started also exhibiting strange behaviors. And they were taken to a Dr. William Griggs. He was the only doctor in Salem. They said they're not showing physical signs of ailment, so they were suffering from chronic case of bewitchment. So because they couldn't figure out what was causing it, they were like, it's the witches. So
Automatically jump.
the town magistrates, John Corwin and John Hawthorne, told the girls to start naming names. They're like, you know your witch that cast this spell on you. So tell us the names. They asked the girls who was bewitching you, and they started just pointing at people at random. So the girls first pointed at a woman named Sarah Osborne, and then they pointed at Tituba. Tituba was a slave of Reverend Paris and confessed to bewitching the girls, but only after she was severely beaten and tortured.
So they beat her to death well, not to death, but to make her
Confess.
confess.
Her confession said, "The devil came to me and bid me to serve him." So Tituba confessed the downside, that she was confession came with like a really bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
She said there were other witches in Salem and the Puritans went to flush them out. So when Tituba was being a thing, she said there are other witches here. And they said, well, now we gotta find them and kill them.
Mm.
So May 27th, 1692, the very famous and infamous Court of Oyer and Tournemer, which translates to here and determined, was created by Governor William Phipps, who was governor at the time. The court consisted of 8 judges: Jonathan Corwin, Bartholomew Gedway, John Hawthorne, John Richards, William Stoughton, who was chief magistrate, Samuel Sewell, Peter Surgeon, and Waitstill Winthrop. It was not exactly the same court system that we think of today, and there were no lawyers or evidentiary rules. So anything could be brought into this court. There was no rules for, like, with The Devil Made Me, Arnie Johnson, where the judge was like,
okay,
you cannot bring confession, demonic possession into this case. That's a rule. You can't bring this possession into the case.
right.
There was nothing of the sort. It was an instance of guilty until proven innocent, and you were not likely to prove your innocence in the case. So after this, 9 Salem girls became known as the afflicted, essentially. Elizabeth Booth, Elizabeth Hubbard, Mercy Lewis, Betty Paris, Ann Putnam Jr., Susanna Sheldon, Abigail Williams, Mary Walcott, and Mary Warren. All of these girls started to throw out accusations left and right in court. The girls started to throw fits and start acting crazy. One of the first trials of this court was for a woman named Bridget Bishop, who was found guilty of witchcraft. Bridget was the first to be hanged during the Salem Witch Trials, but she wasn't the first accused.
Okay.
She was the first to be hung between the months of July and September of 1692. 18 people were found guilty of witchcraft and executed after her. Bridget, I say, it was, Bridget was considered to be too lusty, and she was a gossip, and so that's often why she's the first to be considered the one who was hung first, because she was, everyone like kind of had a gripe with her, so it was the perfect first person, somebody who was already
go at her because of her action.
Yeah. So the town of Salem didn't just randomly believe the kids, because why would they? They of course had to do their own investigations. They had what they called scientific tests to test if the people were dancing with the devil.
Okay.
They would do the water test, where the accused would be tied up, but not the way you would figure. They would tie one finger would be on the opposite toe, so they would tie your finger to your toe, like this, and then they would slowly lower you into the water. And if you floated, you were a witch, and if you sank, you weren't a witch.
Okay.
And the reason they did this test it was because if you were a witch, you spurned the sacrament of baptism, so the water would reject you.
Okay.
The second test was called the witch's cakes. So they would make cakes from flour and rye, and they would mix in the urine of the person that was supposedly bewitched.
Okay.
They would then feed the cake to the dogs, and if the dog showed symptoms of the accused, they were a witch, and the dog would tell them who the witch was by pointing at them, pointing either with their paw or with their nose.
Okay.
Yeah. The next test was the touch test, and it was if one of the accusers was in the middle of throwing a fit and in the midst of one of their attacks, they were touched by the person bewitching them, their fit would suddenly stop. Which,
Okay.
I'm sorry, you can throw a fit and then all of a sudden the person you want to accuse touches you.
Yeah, you can stop.
You can just
I was
stop.
just now thinking. I was thinking of that too. It's like, okay, wait a minute. They can act like they're having an episode or having a fit. Abigail could be having the fit on the floor, and I could just walk up and do that, and she'll automatically stop.
Exactly. Which is wild to
How
me.
hard is that?
Exactly. My favorite is the cakes one, where they would literally have the person who was bewitched put their urine in a cake, feed it to a dog, and then the dog would be like, if the dog started showing symptoms, it would then point at the person who cast the spell. What?
Okay.
With their nose or with their paw, they would point, which is baffling.
I, yeah, I don't quite understand that one.
Like I said previously, if you admitted to witchcraft, they would let you go,
Mm.
and since most were landowners, their land would be taken from them. So you would be homeless, and there were so many accused. So here's the thing: there were so many people that was accused of witchcraft that they couldn't hold all of them in the Salem prison. So they were also put in Boston and Ipswich prisons.
Mm.
They were classified as super dangerous prisoners and were held in the basement and dungeons. In a book called A Delusion of Satan, the full story of the Salem Witch Trials, they were kept in dungeons and they were perpetually dark, bitterly cold, and so damp, water down the walls.
Wow.
They reeked of unwashed human bodies and excrement. Um, it enclosed so much agony. Um, Basically, it was a terrible place. It was
Mm.
an awful place to be. Um, Basic of the stone dungeons of Salem's town prisons were rediscovered in 1950 on St. Peter Street when the site was excavated to build a telephone company building. So when they were excavating it, that's when they found the prison. So the reason we really don't know a lot like where the bodies are buried, everything like that, we go off a historical record is it was lost. It disappeared. Like we lost where the prison was. We lost where the gallows hill was. So there's only estimates for the Salem witch trial of where things happened.
Wow.
In 1692, it stood under a wooden structure, 20 square feet, known as the jail.
Yeah.
So that's how big the dungeon was too.
Not that.
It wasn't big. Since the jail was close to the tidal river, it was also probably infested with water rats. Um, so witches were worse off than other prisoners that were kept in the dungeons, though.
Hmm.
Their limbs were weighted down and their movements were restricted by manacles or chains to the walls so that specters could so that they couldn't escape and wreak havoc.
Hmm.
In one case, Dorothy Good, history also calls her Dorcas Good. She was the daughter of Sarah Good. I know, bad name.
Why?
Why they call her?
Why would you name your child Dorcas?
Well, I think. Well, that's the thing. We know her as Dorothy now.
Yeah.
I think history calls her Dorcas, but she's always referred to as Dorothy. So no one really knows of what her actual name is.
I'd rather Dorothy instead
Yeah.
of Dorcas because that's just mean.
So she was the daughter of Sarah Good. On March 3rd, 1692, Anne Putnam was deposed and claimed this quote, I saw the apparitions of Dorothy Good, Sarah Good's daughter, who did almost immediately choke me and tortured me most grievously. And she hath several times since tortured me by biting and pinching and almost choking me, tempting me also to write in her devil's book.
Mm.
Also, on the day of her examination, the apparition of Dorothy Good tortured me during the time of her examination and several times since. On March 24th, 1692, Dorothy was taken into custody and examined. quote, on suspicion of witchcraft. And by examined, I mean she was literally chained up in the dungeon in Nipsey Witch Jail, and Dorothy was, um, and when they investigated, they would literally strip you naked and then see if you had any of the signs of a witch.
Mm-hmm.
You want to guess how old Dorothy was?
Probably not over 20.
She was 4.
Yeah, definitely not over that.
She was 4 years old.
Dorcas wasn't used the way we use Dorcas. Yeah, I know, but that's still mean.
So she was held in jail from March 24th to December 10th. After they hanged her mom for witchcraft, they forced her dad to scrounge up $50 at the time, which now is $4,365,000, to release her.
Wow.
She suffered so much psychological damage while in prison, she was completely insane after her release. And they had to pay someone to take care of her full time. So the accused were weighed down and starved. They were forced to also undergo physical examinations of their body. There was something called the mark of the devil, and that is what they looked for. Basically, the mark was a mole or anything that they said looked like the accused got branded when they made a pact with the devil.
Did they
Greek
say?
for dough. So basically, they'd be like, "Oh, you have a mole on your chest. You've been branded by the devil.
I was gonna
Oh, you
say,
have a weird birthmark on your body. Branded by the devil.
I have 2 birthmarks.
Branded by the devil. You're a witch."
I'm a witch.
This means it could have been a beauty mark, a birthmark, anything that was abnormal on your body.
I was gonna say, and it doesn't matter where it's at.
Doesn't matter where it's at. They were also looking for another teat that their familiar would suckle off of them.
I mean, some people have been known to have a third teat.
Yeah. So when these inspections were done, the accused were stripped naked in a group of people.
There's nothing left, so no.
And their bodies were just like poked and prodded, and if they were suspicious, if there was suspicious marks, they were poked with needles. The female prisoners' boobs were examined multiple times a day, and they looked for signs of lactation or odd appearance of their breast, and they were recorded and discussed in the courtroom.
Oh, good God.
Fun little fact: Sarah Good gave birth in jail, and Goody Proctor also gave birth in jail. So if they were
These
looking,
poor women, you being humiliated day in, day out.
then having to give birth in jail,
Yeah, that's
with how the jail was,
yeah, that's not cool. I mean, I understand the times. So back in the times, it's still you don't treat someone like that.
they even started to form actual witch hunters who would go door to door in Salem and ask people to accuse other people of witchcraft. And the people whose doors they were knocking on were so scared they started to point fingers because they thought if someone didn't accuse, they were a witch. That was the mindset of the time.
Makes sense.
Those that were accused were not just questioned but interrogated, and by the interrogation I mean torture. George Corwin was famous for being a brutal interrogator. His methods included cutting, dunking, and the heretic's fork, which was a leather collar with 2 forks, one facing the collarbone and one the chin. So you would have to keep your head up because if you put your head down, the chin would stab here and it would stab in your collarbone. And it was sharp too. It wasn't like dull where it was kind of like if you lean just right, you could rest your head. No, you would have to keep your head like this or else you would stab yourself.
Honestly, how long did they have to do that before
Hours.
he let him out of it?
Hours. Wow. Until you confessed. It's a form of torture. It is a torture device.
Jeez.
The pair of anguish, which is a device planted in a person's orifice and it is gradually expanded. It looks like a pear, and then the wide part opens. Sleep deprivation was used. They would deprive them of sleep. And even more forms. George Corwin's famous way of getting a confession was to tie the accused's neck to their ankle and then slowly pull and tighten until blood shot out of their nose.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was his favorite form of torture.
The way he does in his bedroom.
You will find out what happens to George Corwin and actually all of the sheriffs that have been in Salem.
Wow.
So now I'm going to start talking about the victims. It's okay, Thomas. Hi, Thomas. I made pozole from scratch and pumpkin horchata. And I made a perfect flan.
She did. She wasn't wearing a witch's hat when she took it off.
I started itching my head.
You're fine. You don't have to wear it the whole time if you don't want to.
So now we're going to start talking about the victims. Because they were most certainly victims. So Bridget Bishop was the first to be killed. She was the first one. She was in her 50s. She was a widow that lived in Salem, and she had a bad reputation around town because she had been accused of witchcraft before, and she had a couple of run-ins with the law. She was a gossip, and she wasn't the first accused, but she was the first to have a trial because her case was a super easy one because everyone thought she was a witch.
Yeah.
Bridget was accused by 5 afflicted girls: Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam Jr., Mercy Lewis, Mary Walcott, and Elizabeth Hubbard, who stated she physically hurt them and tried to make them sign a pact with the devil. During her trial, Bridget repeatedly said, "I am innocent. I know nothing of it. I have done no witchcraft. I am as innocent as the child unborn." She was brought to trial on June 2nd, found guilty quickly, and became the first person hung during the trials when she was hanged June 10th,
You're safe.
1692. The next one was Sarah Good. She was 39 years old. She lived in Salem Village and was the wife of William Good. She was poor and pregnant, and she was the mom of Dorothy Good. She would go door to door begging for food and for any handouts, while her husband worked as a laborer trying to make ends meet. So essentially, her neighbors were really annoyed at her for knocking on the door begging for help, and they accused her. She was one of the first people accused by the original 2 girls, along with Sarah Osborne and Tituba.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Good was brought to trial June 29th and executed July 19th. The next one is Elizabeth Howe. She was 57 years old.
Wow.
She lived in Topsfield and was the wife of farmer James Howe. She had been accused of witchcraft before, but nothing really happened. She was refused admittance to the Ipswich church because of the accusation.
She was heating it up.
Heating it up again. Boiling. Okay. In May 1692, she was accused by the afflicted girls in Salem Village. She was arrested and brought to trial June 29th, and July 19th, she was executed. The next one is George Boros. He was a Harvard-educated minister and was accused by other alleged witches from the Andorf. They said he was their mastermind. During the trial, accusers said he was biting them while they testified. Most likely they bit themselves before the trial, but that's not the wildest thing that happened during his case. The girls claimed to have seen spirits in the room, and one of them was saying it was the spirits of his dead wives. They actually claimed he was using an invisibility cloak that the devil gave him. It actually wasn't the girls who said that invisibility cloak thing. It was the Chief Justice. He basically said, "I bet it's an invisibility cloak." So the judges were not impartial in this. Before his execution, Burroughs recited the Lord's Prayer perfectly without any mistake, which witches are said not to be able to achieve.
Okay.
And even though he basically proved he wasn't a witch, they still hung him. The next victim was Susanna Martin, who was 71 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She was a widow who lived in Amesbury, and she had been accused of witchcraft for specifically infanticide and tormenting people with her specter, with her astral body. The charges were dropped and dismissed, and she was accused again in 1692. She was taken to Salem on June 29th and was executed July 19th. The next one was Rebecca Nurse, who was 71 years old. She was a grandma and was a wife of Francis Good. She was pious and she was popular with everyone, and everyone loved her, except she had a feud with the Putnams over land boundaries. She also disapproved of the appointment of Samuel Parris, who was close friends with the Putnams. The Putnams were Rebecca's main accusers during the witch trial, and many of them testified against her. She was actually found not guilty, and then when that was read, the afflicted girls began freaking out, falling all over, screaming, and they begged for the jury to reconsider.
Yeah.
And the jury did, and they came back with the verdict of guilty. She was found guilty and executed on July 19th, 1692. This execution was when a lot of people in Salem began going, I don't think this is right. The next one was Sarah Wilds, who was 65 years old. And this execution was when she lived in Topsfield and was the wife of local judge John Wilds. And she had a bad reputation and she had some brushes with the law, like Bridget Bishop. She was accused of fornicating out of wedlock with Thomas Weldron in 1649. And in 1663, you're going to love this, she was accused of wearing a silk scarf.
I wear silk scarf. I'm a witch.
She was accused of wearing a silk scarf, guys.
She was fashionably
So
a witch.
after she married the widower, John Wilds, in 1663, John Gould and Mary Gould Reddington, who were brother and sister of John Wilds' late wife, they hated her. And in 1670, they began spreading rumors that she was a witch. Finally, Sarah Wilds got so mad that her in-laws essentially are calling her a witch that she physically attacked Mary Gould on the road and pulled her off of her horse and began throwing her on the ground.
Oh, wow, witch fight.
So after that, Mary Gould died of natural causes.
Oh.
And years later, Mary's friends continued to harass Sarah, and she was being bullied because essentially they just didn't like her. They were also close friends with the Putnams, and shortly after the Salem Witch Trials began, the Putnams were like, Sarah Wilde is a witch, and she was arrested in April of 1692. And John Wilde's daughter from a previous marriage and son-in-law, who were Sarah and Edward Bishop, were also arrested at the time, and John's other daughter, Phoebe Wilds, was also brought to trial. Sarah Wilds was brought to trial on June 29th and executed July 19th. If you haven't noticed, if one family member was accused,
the whole family was.
A lot of the family members were also arrested and accused as well. Remember Martha Carrier, the one who was the Queen of Hell?
Yeah.
She was also accused. She lived in Andover, and she was a wife of Thomas Carrier, and she was the niece of an outspoken opponent of the Salem Witch Trials, Reverend Frances Dane of Andover, and the sister of accused witch Mary Tuthera of Bilcra. Mary was the first person in Andover accused, and she was accused by her neighbor Benjamin Abbott after the two had a dispute over land. And Abbott immediately fell ill, and her children were also accused, and they were coerced into testifying against her. So she was brought to trial on August 5th and executed August 19th. The next one, John Willard, who was about 30 years old, he was a deputy constable in Salem at the time. He was one of the first to speak out against the witch trials. He was responsible for helping arrest the accused witches, but soon started to feel like this is really messed up, and he quit his job because of it. Shortly after he quit, he was accused of witchcraft by Ann Putnam, who accused him of beating her baby sister to death.
Wow.
Willard was not immediately arrested, but his in-laws, the Willikins family, became suspicious of him, and he was accused a second time by his wife's grandfather, Bray Willikins, and after he fell ill after receiving a cross look from Willard. After a few days, Bray's grandson, Daniel Wilkins, was found dead. His
Wow.
body was beaten, and according to the court records, to the best of our judgment, basically it said, to the best of our judgment, we cannot but apprehend that he died of unnatural death by some cruel hands of witchcraft or a diabolical act. So basically, he was beaten to death, and they were like, we don't know what caused it. It was a witch. So the arrest warrant was issued for John Willard, but he had fled Salem. But a second arrest warrant was issued, and he was arrested in New Hampshire. During his examination, which was at the Beatles Tavern in Salem, that's another thing. A lot of times when they were arrested and investigated, they were arrested and investigated in taverns. They were not like taken to the jail. Everything happened in taverns.
They like wanted it in public.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Beatles Tavern in Salem, the incident between Bray Wilkins and Daniel Wilkins was brought up, and they were like, yeah, he's a devil. And a lot of the accused witches and Ann Putnam testified she saw ghosts of the people that Willard allegedly killed. He was brought to trial August 5th and executed August 19th. None of the charges were ever proven.
Do you notice? July 19th?
August 19th. Sadly, after the group,
like
the next
month
grouping,
later?
Yeah. I think it's because they would just do like a bunch of trials together. They would arrest them, build a bunch of people, kill them all at the same time, and then do the same thing.
It's just funny that it's a month later. I mean, they killed a lot of people on July 19th. And then they turn around a month later on August 19th doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. The next one is George Jacobs Sr., age 72. He was accused by several people, including his granddaughter, Margaret Jacobs, saying he was a reluctant churchgoer and he was an outspoken critic of the trials. He was first accused by his servant, Sarah Chillard, and he was accused by his granddaughter. Then his son, George Jacobs Jr., was accused as well, but he evaded arrest. Almost all of the Putnams said that he came to them in spectral form and beat them with a cane. God, there's a couple of people that I would like to go into spectral form and beat with a cane. Can you imagine being able to do that?
It would be fun. I mean, fun for me, probably not for them.
Yeah, not for them. Real fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
He was found guilty August 5th and was executed August 19th. Jacob's family was one of the ones where his body was taken from the execution site and given an actual grave marker, and he was given a proper burial. The next one is one of the more popular ones. John Proctor, age 61. He was a wealthy farmer, and he was an outspoken critic of the girls.
The soup is done. No?
It doesn't. It has hominy. It's corn.
Okay. There's still also the fried chicken in the fridge, too. Oh, okay. See people running around screaming at Walmart. She's chasing me.
Yeah. Can you imagine beating? No, there's a couple of people I would love to go to their house in the middle of the night and beat with the cane. And them not know it's me. Just pop, 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 pop. That'd be fun.
And what's funny is nobody could see you if you were to do that. Go to Walmart.
I know.
We can go to Walmart and do that.
So John Proctor was a wealthy farmer and an outspoken critic. He would actually threaten to beat or whip the accusers for their roles in the witch trials. All the 5 girls who would accuse people, he would threaten to beat them with a whip. He's like, "You're stupid." So after his wife was arrested, Elizabeth Proctor was arrested for witchcraft in April of 1692 while she was pregnant. The girls decided to turn on John Proctor. So while they were examining her, they went, "John's a witch." And he was like, "I'm here to support my wife." And then all of a sudden his entire family was arrested.
Wow.
And accused of witchcraft. John wrote a letter to Boston actually begging for them to intervene, and he was like, "Move the trials to Boston." The clergy did respond, but it was too late to save Proctor, who was brought to trial August 5th and executed August 19th.
And there's a John Proctor in my show.
Yeah. John Proctor is the one. If you've read The Crucible, he's the one who...
You'll take his bowl?
Yeah.
Wait, we're supposed to be in spectral film for that?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to leave evidence.
So his remaining family members were either never charged or found guilty and eventually pardoned. So there were people who were waiting for their next execution, essentially. Um, Next is Alice Parker. Her age is unknown. She was a wife of a fisherman named John Parker, and they lived in Salem. She was known as pious and honest woman, but she did have a reputation for being clairvoyant. On one occasion, she successfully predicted that a friend's husband had died at sea. In May of 1692, afflicted girl Mary Warren suddenly was like, Alice Parker is a witch. She claimed Alice bewitched her mother to death, made her sister ill, and had drowned several men and boys at sea.
Wow.
She was brought to trial September 9th and was executed September 22nd. The next one was Mary Parker, who was about 40. She was a widower from Andover, and she was accused by Sarah Phelps and Martha Sprague of Andover. She stated there was another woman in Andover that was named Mary Parker, and it must be mistaken identity. But Martha Sprague was like, nope, you're the one I'm looking for. She was brought to trial September 17th and was executed September 22nd. The next one is Anne Pudetier. She was in her 70s. She was a widow that lived in Salem. She worked as a nurse, but she had a reputation for being sharp-tongued. She was accused in May by Sarah Churchill, and several of the accusers found some of the medical supplies, such as foot ointments and stuff like that, were confiscated, and they were used as signs that she was a part of the occult.
Oh yeah.
She was
She
like,
has
no.
a foot fetish.
She was like, no, these are medicines. I'm using it to treat you guys. You guys are stupid. She was put on trial September 9th and executed September 22nd. The next one is Willamette Red. Her age is unknown. She lived in Marblehead and was the wife of fisherman Samuel Red. She was accused before 1687. She was unpopular because she was an abrasive personality. She became the wife of Reverend George Burroughs. She was accused in May, and she was brought in Ingersoll Tavern. She had never met the afflicted girls, and when they asked why they were afflicted, she was like, "I don't know them. They are in a sad condition." She was indicted, and several Marblehead residents testified against her. She was brought to trial September 17th and executed the 22nd of September.
Oh wow.
The next one is Margaret Scott. She was 77 years old. She was a widow from Rowley, and she had 7 kids, but only 3 survived. Her husband died in 1671, and after he passed, she was super poor. And she begged from her neighbors, and they all hated her for that. She was accused by the Wycombes and Nelson Rowleys, super notable families at the time. The Nelson family actually had a family member on the grand jury that convicted her, which is a big conflict of interest.
But they let them stay on there.
Yeah. She was brought to trial September 17th and executed September 22nd.
Wow.
The next one is Samuel Wardwell. He was 49 years old. He was a carpenter from Andover, and he was a fortune teller and practiced folk magic. He was jailed in Salem, and then after he was arrested, his wife and daughters were also arrested. They pointed to the fortune telling and magic dabbling and said the devil may have taken advantage of him. So he originally made a confession saying he signed a pact with the devil, but later recanted that confession and said he was innocent. He was brought to trial mid-September and executed September 22nd. The next one is Martha Corey. She was 72. She was Giles's wife, the one that was crushed.
Oh.
She had a reputation. She was a pious woman and everyone loved her, but she did have a child out of wedlock before marrying Giles. She was a churchgoer, and she was an outspoken opponent of the witch trials. She repeatedly was heard calling the girls liars. So the girls turned on her. During the examination process, they told the judge that we must not believe all these. This was Giles's wife. We must not believe all these distracted children and what they say. So she was basically like, they're liars. They're not telling the truth. Giles actually turned on his wife and he testified her against her in court, stating that she may have bewitched his farm animals and himself. She was brought to trial September 9th and executed September 22nd.
Oh, Lord.
After her husband was crushed to death for not confessing. So 3 days after her husband was crushed to death for due to not confessing was when she after she died. 3 days later, she died after that. The next one is Mary Easty. She was 58. She was the sister of accused witch Rebecca Nurse and Sarah Cloyce. She lived in Topsfield. She was pious, well respected, and well liked. She was accused of witchcraft, arrested, and then released in May. She was accused again a couple days after she was released. She was found not guilty. They let her out again, and she was again accused, arrested, and she was charged with 2 counts of witchcraft. She was brought to trial September 9th and was executed September 22nd.
Jeez.
The last one to be executed was Giles Corey. He was an old man in his 80s. He's the one I've been mentioning in the episode, but I'm going to give a little bit more in depth. He refused to enter a plea, and he was tortured for 3 days in a field on Howard Street in Salem in an attempt to get him to plea. He died September 19th, 1692, and witness Robert Califf said that Giles Corey's tongue was pressed out of his mouth. So he literally had so much pressure on him, his tongue was like this.
Hanging out.
The sheriff, with a cane, forced it back into his mouth.
Wow.
Since he did not enter a plea, he was killed. The government could not take his estate, so his land was able to go to his children and his grandchildren. But it was heard by witnesses. His last words while being crushed was, "Damn you, sheriff, I curse you in Salem." 4 years later, at 30 years old, Sheriff George Corrin, who was the main arrester and torturer and executor of the accused, had a fatal heart attack and died.
Ooh.
So in A Haunted Happenings, a book by Robert Ellis Cahill, who was a former high sheriff in Salem, noted that every sheriff since Corwin, including himself, over a period of 300 years, headquartered at Salem Jail, overlooking the spot where Corey was pressured to death, have all been either have died while in office or have been forced out of their post because of heart or blood ailments.
Oh, dang.
So basically, my thing is when George Corwin, when Giles said the curse, right? He said, "Damn you, sheriff." He didn't say George. He said sheriff.
So he damned pretty much all of them.
He basically, even if he wasn't a witch, I would say, even if you're not a witch, you can curse somebody. I full on believe that he cursed the sheriff's seat. Hence why everyone has either died or had to leave their post due to blood or heart ailments. That's a little too weird.
Too much of a coincidence.
Too much of a coincidence. Which wasn't the first time a curse came true in Salem. It actually happened before. Sarah Good, when she was being hanged, she looked at Reverend Noyce, who was hanging her, and she reportedly cursed Noyce, saying, "I am no more a witch than you are a wizard. And if you take away my life, God will give you blood to drink."
Ooh. Those are some, wow.
Noyce in 1718, so a little bit after this, 1718. Reverend Noyce died of a brain hemorrhage. The story goes he choked on his own blood, echoing the words of Sarah Good's curse.
Well, I mean, you're
And that's the
accusing her of
thing.
being a witch. You were accusing her.
So finally, on October 3rd of 1692, a gentleman who was called Minister Increase Mather, his name was Increase, who named their child Increase.
I can see that. We need to increase that. Yes, Dad. You know,
his name,
seriously.
Minister Increase Mather, tried to convince the courts to stop taking spectral evidence as actual evidence. Like the evidence of they came to me in a ghost form and beat me. So after basically this while of accepting it, they decided to change their tune. And that was probably because Governor Phipps's wife, Mary, was accused and interrogated as a witch.
Mm.
So he was like, yeah, out of the goodness of my heart, I'm going to let the accused go free and stop the trials and dismantle the court of Oyer and Temener and replace it with the Superior Court of Judicature. Judicature? This court was different. They
Yeah.
couldn't take spectral evidence into consideration. The judges for the court were William Stoughton, Thomas Danforth, John Richards, and Waitstill Winthrop, and Samuel Sewall. So by May 1693, Governor Phipps pardoned all remaining accused.
Couldn't have happened to a more deserving person. I mean, what is the phrase that they always say? Because now they're using it with Charlie Kirk's wife. Hell hath no fury
Like a woman scorned.
like a woman scorned. I mean, she may not be alive, but hey, you did something. You accused her of something that she probably never was.
Mm-hmm. So
And
she decided to place a curse on you as her last dying breath.
yep. God.
So by May 1693, Governor Phipps pardoned all remaining accused. On October 17th, 1711, the surviving accused and some of the victims' families convinced the colonies to pass a bill that cleared some of the accused and executed names. These victims and family were also paid restitution. In 1957, Massachusetts Governor Foster Farrakillo signed a bill into law formally apologizing for the Salem Witch Trials. The bill in 1957 cleared the remaining victims that weren't listed in the original 1711 law. In 1992, at the 300th anniversary, the city of Salem built the Salem Witch Trials Memorial, and the city of Danvers built the Salem Village Witchcraft Victims Memorial in honor of the victims. On October 31st in 2001, the state amended its apology, clearing the names of all remaining victims, those being Bridget Bishop, Susanna Martin, Alice Parker, Margaret Scott, and Willamette Red. So let's get into some of the theories as to why this happened.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, I think it's a little bit of everything. So Linda Capperwell suggested that the afflicted girls may have been exposed to a fungus named ergot. It's a fungus that grows on grains like rye, and it can cause convulsive ergotism, which can cause people to have hallucinations, muscle contractions, similar to seizures, vertigo, and crawling or tingling sensations. So, since rye was commonly used and they had a bunch stored, and it was also really wet in the air, it could have allowed the fungus to grow.
Mold.
Yeah. The downside of this theory, though, is convulsive ergotism includes sometimes literal disintegrating fingertips, and there is no record of that happening.
Okay. Staying away from that.
Another one is hysteria, of course. One such case, Robert Califf, who was the Salem merchant, accused Samuel Parris, who was the original accuser's father, of being the witch trials, using it to gain the power that he was losing in the village. He said Parris must have forced his slave Tituba into confessing, starting the whole thing off. Now, in 1684, right before the trials, King Charles II revoked the Massachusetts Bay Colony's Royal Charter, which was a document granting colonists permission to colonize the area. It was apparently revoked because the colonists were said to have violated the rules, including basing laws on religious beliefs and discriminating against Anglicans. A newer, more anti-religious charter was placed in 1691, and so the Puritans, who left to religious prosecution, believed they were going to be attacked for their religion again, so they began to worry about losing control of the colonies. Political instability and threats to their religion, so there was a bunch of uneasiness and anxiety. And then there was what they also Governor Phipps, Salem was 70 miles away from the literal constant battles that were going on between Native Americans and the colonists.
Okay.
All of the girls
Mm.
and everyone in Salem had seen some shit.
Mm.
They had all seen terrible things. They were basically on the front lines.
Yeah.
So the theory is hysteria mixed in with a little bit of PTSD.
Mm.
Also, kids were not allowed to play. They could only do chores and study their Bible because playing was of the devil. Mix in a little conversion disorder, where it's basically you start thinking things in your head, so it makes it happen. Kind of like how there's been cases of people thinking that they have seizures, and then it literally will trigger seizures in their body.
Wow.
So there's conversion disorders where, oh, I can't move my hand or I can't walk, my legs are paralyzed. Their legs are perfectly fine, but they physically think that their legs are paralyzed, so they can't move their legs. So add in a little bit of conversion disorder, a little bit of PTSD, a little bit of hysteria, and I think also a little bit of ergot. You got the perfect storm for the Salem Witch Trials.
Yeah. I have to agree with that. Because I wouldn't have put that in there. Like as far as the girls being exposed to the grain, the rye, and all that stuff, and then back in that time, and where it's located at, being in Salem, there's a lot of moisture in the air, and you can't you got to keep grain and all that stuff in a dry place, and they didn't have that option. Not like we do now.
Yeah.
You know, like we do now, we have the option to put it in a dry, safe area so it doesn't do stuff like that. And back then, they didn't have it.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of that combined, it's the Salem Witch Trials. I wanted to talk about the victims more because I feel like when we talk about the Salem Witch Trials, we talk about the accusers a lot and like the fantasticalness of the case, but we don't really talk about the victims.
Mm.
The victims were basic people. I mean, one was literally charged with the crime of wearing a silk scarf. I will never get over that. We never really talk about them, and I felt they should be talked about.
Mm. The one that it's baffling is the 4-year-old.
How they kept her in jail. They kept her. So remember, the dungeons were dark. There were water rats that apparently would nibble on them.
Oh, that's lovely. So, welcome rabies.
Water rats, moisture so heavy that it was literally water dripping off of the walls. The smell of human decay and excrement. That and the fact that she rightfully went insane.
Rightfully
After that,
so. She's 4 years old.
Yeah, and when
talk about PTSD,
exactly, where she had to literally have somebody take care of her for the rest of her life,
which is horrible. And
exactly.
they probably could not. Whoever took care of her and learned more about her, the older she got, probably could not say certain words. There were probably trigger words that would set her off. I mean, that's horrible. That is
awful. We don't learn that terribleness that Dorothy Good, a 4-year-old, was put in that prison. Women gave birth in those prisons.
Yeah, and there's no cleanliness in the prisons.
And
so
then,
who knows if their babies survived or not.
And then immediately after, if they started lactating for their kid, oh, that's a sign you're a witch.
It's because my kid's hungry, you dumbass. You ever had kids? Oh, wait, nope. Like, come on. I mean, I'm interested in getting back into watching Salem because I want to see how much of this portrays in that show. I don't even know what season I'm on, but I became interested in it, and I've been, it's hilarious. Okay, I put my hat straight. This is driving me crazy.
And it keeps tilting.
And it keeps tilting that way. So
that's why I took it off, because
like
it kept
apparently
moving.
It's supposed to stay tilted, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But I'm interested in learning a little bit more from the show to see how much
is,
like Proctor.
Yeah.
Proctor is big in the show. I've heard the name Proctor.
It's real fucked up. You know how the Crucible, they have Abigail Williams in the Crucible? You know what my English teacher made me do?
What?
She made me read all the Abigail Williams parts.
I mean, it fits. It's your name.
I had to be the bad guy. I didn't want to be the bad guy.
Well,
Actually, and then she also refused to take. She refused to call me by my name, so she called me. I think Kathy. For the whole time we were reading the Crucible, she would be like, "Okay, Kathy." I turned in my paper on the Crucible with the name Kathy on my paper.
because you said it so much. I was like, you gotta keep calling me Kathy. That's what I'm gonna go by.
I got an A on paper.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
But yeah, that is the Salem Witch Trials.
Yeah, when I get back in my show, I'm gonna see how much of it
Is
links to learning this, and then we have to pre-record next Monday. So we're gonna do that this Thursday. We're gonna pre-record it, but I'll set it to where it will drop in at probably 4 or 5 o'clock or 5 to 6 in the afternoon, because I did the last one that we recorded before you went on your trip, and it actually, I even woke up the next day. I was like, oh my god, did it drop? Because I want to make sure that it does so people can see it. But then I look at it and it was set to private. It's like, damn it! So I make sure, because I learned from a YouTuber who's been doing this a long time. She says not to let it, like, I guess, schedule it when it should drop. But here's our thing: we go live, so we can't put it as private. We have to put it as public because there's no way to do that. Now, for pre-recording, I know I didn't do the what was I doing? Oh, the conspiracy thing on 9/11. I I forgot to do that, and then I remember what the heck was going on that day, anyways. But I didn't get to do that one. So this week we're supposed to do pre-record for next week, which is Disney Hauntings.
And Michelle will be doing that one.
Yes. So I told her this Thursday we'll do it when after she gets home and relaxes a little bit, because I'm off. Because John and I are going to get ready for our trip, and we will be gone from Sunday to Thursday next week, and we'll be back and just to go back to work. Yay, yes. And then
we have the Zodiac Killer.
Nice. I can't find a costume for that. This is what I found at Walmart. I know. I know. But I was telling her
his costume was way too weird.
I was telling her I seen these hats, and I'm like, oh, we're doing the Salem Witch Trials. We have to buy hats. We need hats for this. That's when I found these at Walmart. And then again, John got these at Walmart. So I got a bat cup, and she has a ghost cup. And then got these little things that we're eating our soup out of at Walmart as well. I got 2 white ones and 2 orange ones because they're just really cute, and they hold a pretty good amount of food. Because I was curious about that, of like how much chili can you put in there, how much soup, how much food does it hold, and it holds like what, 2-3 ladles full.
And then the lid
food.
keeps it nice and warm.
So it's nice. I'm trying to figure out how to do. I was telling her I did look. Okay, I did look at fabric for the wall here, and it's going to take 2 pieces of fabric just to cover the wall. I have fabric, but I might have to get. I have some that's a duplicate, like I have Jack Skellington and whatnot. Trying to figure something out for that. It might wait until we move, because there's just no way to try and put fabric on the back of this wall to cover. So I'd rather wait till we move, and we have maybe something to where we have like a chair, or like our little table that we have over in the kitchen, and just get like a shower rod and put background, but with nothing else around it, where that's what you guys see is at least the fabric. But pretty interesting case for the Salem Witch Trials. I was always curious about that. Still would like to know more about it, looking into it and whatnot. Now she's over there cutting up the flan right now, so we can each have a piece. We'll see if I.
Because Michelle's never had flan.
Yeah, I've never had flan, so we'll see if I like it. If it's a texture thing, we'll know. If it's a, we'll know. But she's cutting it right now, so we're gonna try it. I like the horchata. Told her I might be in the bathroom because of the horchata and the soup because I've never had pozole. I was telling her earlier, if you could have seen the kitchen, it looked like a tornado went through it. A cooking tornado went through it. And I was like, yeah, she's gonna have to have a bigger kitchen. There's no way.
So this is the cut of the flan.
I told her we'd do flan again. She should make what did I say, a caramel apple flan?
Caramel apple
With
flan.
some,
They have choco flan, which they say is the hardest flan to make.
yeah,
Ready?
kind of. I'm a little nervous. Ow, I bit my tongue. Very creamy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, bad. Damn it. You know what? But you know what makes it really good though? The caramel.
Mm-hmm.
If it didn't have caramel, I probably would not eat it. Because I think if it didn't have the caramel, I would not eat it. I think because the caramel.
And that's the thing. That's what makes caramel and the
Mhm.
because even when you do like a choco flan or like the pumpkin spice flan, you do the caramel on the bottom still.
Yeah, because it gives it that nice. It doesn't taste bland. Let's put it that way. Always for pozole. Yes. Are you having issues there, Angie? Trying. That words for her were hard.
Mm-hmm. I did good. I am proud of myself.
Yes, you should be. I would rather have this as a Thanksgiving dessert than pumpkin pie. I hate pumpkin pie.
I'll make some flan.
Make some pumpkin spice flan.
Well, no, because do you know how they make pumpkin spice flan? The one I saw,
Mm-mm.
it's the flan, regular flan, except you add pumpkin to it,
Mhm.
and then the bottom is spice cake.
Ooh,
So it has the flan, and then you have actual cake underneath.
that's okay. I could eat that. I'm actually have been in the mood for spice cake. I don't know why. I think there's a side of me coming out that no one's ever known. Not even me. Well, the whole thing with like it's spooky season, so we gotta talk about spooky things, having spooky things. I like my seasons. I like when um yes, I Spanish well. um I don't know. I think that 45, I'm kind of still learning a little bit about myself, which I think everybody still learns about themselves.
Yeah.
I don't like being in front of cameras, but as long as I'm in the comfort of my own home, I'm okay with that. Or if John's with me, or if Abigail and I want to do something. I think as long as I'm with somebody that I'm comfortable with, it's not a big deal. Like her and I need to do a Hobby Lobby haul, like going.
The horchata is pumpkin spice horchata.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, that's my second glass. You know, weird. Do you put Cool Whip or Ready Whip on your pie? I do Cool Whip, and I pile Cool Whip on my pumpkin pie because if that's all that's there and I have to eat it, then I'm slathering that sucker in Cool Whip.
Was it last Thanksgiving where I made pumpkin pie, apple pie, and I was gonna make a cherry pie, and then I had to stop because I was getting so stressed out.
Ready Whip. You use Ready Whip. Ready Whip is the same thing as that's in the can, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the can. So you that stuff. No, man. Cool Whip. Yeah, and you have to say it like Stewie. Cool Whip. I make foot-shaped meatloaf for my kids. They always ask for it during October. Oh, that'd be fun. Oh, usually the only thing you have to use. Makes sense. Nope, I'm a Cool Whip chick. I like my Cool Whip.
You know, I always thought I was raised on flan, and I always thought flan was the most difficult thing to make in the world, and it is. I always 6 attempts at making the caramel. The sixth one was successful. all previous 5, I literally cried because it kept crystallizing. Until somebody was like, "Here's this other method you can use," and it worked. And I was like, "Fantastic! I can cry in a corner."
Did you say that? Did you save it?
I did.
Okay, good.
Also, I memorized it because of how scared I was of messing it up.
And how's your finger after you burned it?
It's got like a little blister. It's got like 3.
Okay.
I don't think you understand how I burnt it.
No, that's what we're trying to figure out here. How she burnt
you can't
it.
tell Justin.
Okay.
All you have to keep quiet about this. I don't know what went through my brain.
You touched it, didn't you? You're not supposed to touch caramel when it's hot, you weirdo.
It's on the stove cookie.
I can see it right now. I wonder if it's done. Oop, shouldn't have done that. Oh my Lord, Abigail. You're hilarious.
Sometimes I have it to myself.
Oh, it couldn't be any worse than when I done with the freaking hot glue gun. Now it looks like I have a heart-shaped sore on here. And the thing is, I didn't touch it. I dropped a bead as I was hot gluing. I go, ow, ow, ow. And I was live. And I ripped it off. Instead of leaving it sit there to cool, I ripped the sucker off. I'm like, well, throwing that bead away.
Well, the thing is, the caramel got stuck on my finger. And I went like this. Ah.
And you ate it? We need, you know what? We need to have bloopers. We need to have blooper reels when we do things. And from here on out, when we're making stuff, we're just going to sit here and just do a camera. And we're going to just let it roll. Yeah. And then we'll have to trim it down to the blooper.
I didn't try to treat it at all.
I have a smiley face on my hand from a lighter, but that's it. You're not supposed to try and burn yourself.
No. But yeah. It kind of looks like a face that's screaming.
Oh my God, she's not lying. It does. It's like faces all like this. Damn.
Oh my God.
You have a... Oh, I was a teenager. Oh, that's true. And usually that's why women live longer. Because men do stupid things.
Also, why would the cat sleep with me? The turtle never sleeps with me.
It could be a number of things. Protection. They can sense when you're...
I was having a nightmare.
That could be a reason why.
Yeah.
That could be why. They can sense things like, and if you're not sleeping well and you're tossing and turning and all that jazz, they'll sleep with you. Like every once in a while, Mulan will lay above my head. And she just does it. My cats were guarding me this weekend. Which reminds me, Angela, I have something for you I need to bring tomorrow. That I made for you.
But yeah.
I don't know where the other thing is.
My ancestors are proud. This was actually like a partial test run from me.
You didn't do it?
A partial test run for me for Day of the Dead. Because I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. And so I was like, okay. Basic food to make. The sole.
Excuse me.
Flan. And then I did see somebody make ghost conchas. Ghost shaped conchas.
What is it?
Conchas they made. They're like the big fruit pastries with the sugar thing on top. They look like the shells.
Oh, okay.
I made them before.
I don't think I ate them. I don't think you were living here when you made them.
No, I didn't make them here.
I don't remember. Nope, don't remember. I don't think I ate one.
I know I brought some to work, and I know like Maria will ask for them, and so will Terry.
Because I'm more of an empanada. I like empanadas, especially if you do it with apple. I don't like the Walmart one. It's good, but it looks good, but I don't want to eat it. It's not authentic.
Fried. It tastes fried.
Right. It's not authentic.
I will eventually. When I have a tortilla flattener, I'll be able to make more things because that tortilla flattener is a lifesaver.
I'm getting full. I need a pumpkin to make candied empanadas.
I know I need a flattener.
Yeah, it depends on who makes it. We used to have a friend of ours, my ex-husband, a couple we hung out with in their family. Oh man, his wife would make food, and you know how I told you I love Spanish rice?
Mm-hmm.
I loved her Spanish rice. I mean, you always see the Spanish rice in the bags, the Nor bags. To me, that's not authentic enough. I mean, what is that popping?
That would be Tataru. Tataru's doing something over there.
Oh, there. It's coming from that way.
Oh, I don't know. I see Tataru over
Maybe
there.
Tataru.
Tataru, Justin has the door closed.
But we're out here. Hi, Mama.
Did you forget where we were?
Her and I got into a discussion earlier, and Grandma grounded her and put her in her room. What?
She doesn't want to talk about that.
Mm-mm. Come here, Mama.
She doesn't want to talk about being grounded.
Mm-hmm. She hit me in the face. She wanted to. She was being a butt. And so I leaned down to her and was scolding her. And I wasn't even pointing at her. And
she has this thing when you point at her, she's like, "Oh."
That pisses her off even more. Like, that's a fight. You're wanting to fight? Okay, we'll fight. So I look at her, I'm like, oh, you want to box? Let's box. Because I do it with Mulan. And every morning I play around with Mulan. And just can't yell at him.
Aww.
But yeah, she has a tude.
She has a giant attitude. I don't know where she gets
And we got her
attitude.
fixed. We got her fixed. So she's supposed to be more mellow, not more crabby. There we go. You might have to finish this flan because I am getting full. This is a very good flan, but it's almost like for me, I can't do a whole lot of oatmeal or chobani because I start gagging. Hi, Chunka baby. Hi, Chunka baby.
This is my baby. My second baby.
I'm all right. You're okay. Yeah. I'm all right. She's like, get me out of here, bitches.
She's camera shy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there he is. He came out.
He left.
She was looking for you.
You can give it to Johnny and see if he likes it.
We're pretty much at the end of it. See, I think it's not that it, how can I explain it? Because it's so thick.
The creaminess, the thickness.
Okay. His face is hilarious. It's not that, it's the thickness of it because it's really good.
Yeah,
I can only eat so much of like oatmeal. Of oatmeal and of chobani yogurt. It's too much, too thick for me, so that I can only eat so much of it or I start gagging. So it's not the maybe it's the consistency just because it's too thick.
Yeah.
But I will give it to John and have him try it too. I want to scratch my head, but I forget. I have a hat on my head.
So I took it off.
What? He's like, what the hell? Get it off. Today is the 15th, right?
Yes.
So next year, around this time, after we move, we are going to be going and seeing Practical Magic. Been talking to my sister about it and sending it to her, and it literally comes out in September. It comes out next year. I remember the date, but it comes out next year. And they are having the same people in it, except for I think the guy that Sandra Bullock's husband marries or is with. I don't think he's in it. And yes, and then I've already told my sister I need shirt sizes. We all need to wear pajama bottoms and wear our hair in braids if their hair's long enough. And we're gonna go. I'm gonna get Midnight Margarita t-shirts off of Temu. everybody might get a little bit of a bigger size just to play safe because I don't know if it's 100% cotton. And then that's what we are going to wear to go see Practical Magic too. But I was telling my sister that we should take in the night before, go to someone's house, either our apartment, my sister's house, whatever. And I was telling her about watching the first Practical Magic, and then like the next day going and seeing that movie. Come on, Willow. There you go. So yeah, Willow. But
do it where you watch it at like midnight. Have like how they have the midnight releases.
Mhm.
Do the midnight release.
Oh yeah, and in 3 days.
Midnight
Next year.
release, and then we just get there at like 5 o'clock, watch the movie, have midnight margaritas, and one of us is designated driver, of course.
Will not be me.
And I cannot drive yet.
Everyone drink. Get an Uber. John, you're a designated driver.
Yeah, have one of the guys drive us.
Steven drive us in his cop car. Wee woo. But that'll be fun. And I think going and doing that, and maybe, well, what did I say? Going and having like a lunch before we go see the movie. We can all have a margarita.
Yeah.
Sit there, have a margarita, and then head out and go to the movie and see it. Make sure that where we are, though, it has like an Applebee's or something in walking distance. So we're not trying to drive anywhere, but it'll be fun. But we'll definitely get the pre-recorded Disney hauntings. Gives me a couple of days to look at and research. I know a few of the rides that are I know the park is haunted because there's been video evidence of it. So, and that's why I can't wait till we get moved, we get settled, and we start continue to do our podcast and stuff, our history podcast, getting better equipment. Like I want to get the gaming computer and the 2 monitors, like Justin has in the room in his office there, to where we each have our own little mic.
Yeah, and I was thinking of if we do like me and Justin do a 2-bedroom apartment, having it like the living room when I set up.
Yeah, we've talked about 1 month going over to her place and then another one coming to mine. The character of her boyfriend dies in the original first book. That's probably why he's not in the second one. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know she finally finds love on her own. Sandra's character does. And then her name is Sally, right? And then I know Nicole Kidman's her abusive boyfriend. Yeah, I remember he dies. But the guy that plays the police officer or the Arizona sheriff or whatever he is comes back to find Sally. So I know he is in the first one, but he's not in the second one. So we'll see. I'm excited because I can't wait because I love that movie. It's just such a good movie, But we're gonna get off here because it's probably getting close to my bedtime.
And it is. I have been up since 8 a.m. and I have been cooking and I have to do all the dishes.
Thank God for a dishwasher. and Justin wants food. Yeah, Gary Hallett. Yeah, I liked him. I thought he had the one blue eye one.
Yeah, one blue one.
Wasn't it one blue, one green, Angela? Yeah. Something like that. Where she wished for somebody that had one blue eye, one green eye, and could ride his horse backwards and can make cactus pancakes.
Flip a cactus. Flip a pancake in the air.
Yep.
And he could ride a horse backwards. His favorite sign was a star.
Yep.
And that's why he became a sheriff.
Yep. Good night, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. You'll see me tomorrow. She's off.
I'm off another day.
So
I get 2 days and then I get to come back.
Yep. And then
hammer out for a week before inventory.
Which we've been doing very good I actually got to work freight the other day. And then John and I had a fun little incident happen to us, but we got it taken care of. Thanks to
I figured because I had
our insurance. So insurance decided not to report that we had insurance. But you'll be in at 5. to let you in. Okay.
You'll also be in at 5.
Yeah, I'm a 5 to 2 right now, so usually I get there around 4:30,
She can bring you a
4:45.
cup of pozole if you would like.
Yeah, you can bring a container. Look at Willow. She's literally in the floor looking at the TV. She sees Tataru.
She's flipping out. She's like, she's up there and she's back there. What is this?
Yep.
She's in 2 locations at once.
Oh, there she goes. Look. Willow's literally sitting here watching TV. She's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Where did she go, Willow?
Right there. What the hell? She was in 2 places.
It was freaking her out. And not seeing her in 2 spots. What you doing?
Staring into our souls.
Willow.
Meanwhile,
hi.
Hermione, our emotional support animal over here, is
just laying on the couch like nothing going on.
Passed out.
Yeah. Goofy dog. All right, kids. Love you. Thank you. Thank you to Angela and Thomas for being on here. And everybody that has joined, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hit the notification bell for the next time we go live. Well, I mean, we go live on this channel, so we're still at 25 subscribers on the A&M podcast, but I'm fixing to change the logo on that to A&M History. Please be sure to share it with other people so we can get up to 50, so we can go live on that one instead. But all right, we'll see you, Thomas and Angela, tomorrow, and you won't see her. So
I will be off.
But everybody have a good evening. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you. I'm gonna have to say in 2 weeks because
you won't see us next week. You'll see a pre-recorded version of us next week.
But it'll be the following week after that.
Yeah, and then we're doing the Zodiac Killer for that one. So that's a little bit of a rough one.
What I'm hearing is Dutch Bros.
Always.
Right? Always
Dutch Bros.
Exactly. All right, guys. Bye. I keep hitting my damn hat.
So you keep forgetting you have the hat on.
I got it on. Bye. Bye. Bye.